So my name is Catherine Hilliard, and again, I'm extremely excited to be your president this year. Thank you. I want to let you know that this meeting is being video recorded, so you can view it on our website later. And also, our lovely Roberta Gonzalez has brought a cameraman, so it might be on TV. Is that possible?
Well, we're hoping. I didn't bring him. He's right there.
Okay, all right. Thank you. So smile. An important part of today's event is recognizing our elected officials, honoring our student leaders, who we hope will consider running for or being appointed to public office. Yes, please. As we ask every year, students afterwards, would you please, I think usually we take a group shot and it's usually over there, but we'll direct you. So before you leave, we'd like to get a group shot of all the students together. Okay, our theme for this year is Recruit, Run, Reclaim, and that's our absolute focus. Recruit is to build on the 400% increase in membership that we had last year by asking you all to either join or rejoin Marin PAC. This is an absolute advertisement, yes. Either today or very soon. Our membership chair, Catherine Way, where are you, Catherine? There you are. Okay. Oh, yes, co-chair with Rachel Kurtz, a council member from San Rafael. And they tell me that our current members will receive a reminder to renew probably as early as next week. But for the new people who would like to sign up, we've created a new website making it extremely easy. On your table are postcards, and on the back of the postcard is a QR code, and that you can just scan for easy access. And by the way, when you view us on our website or our Facebook or any other place, if you would tag us, that would really help us get the word out. So we would appreciate that. Okay, that's about recruit. The next thing is run. Run means MWPAC bringing you information on open and contested seats in 2024 and beyond, and vacancies on committees and commissions. So you have the opportunity to run or apply for appointments. Campaign training courses like Run to Win, an event and endorsement nights at the San Rafael City Council chambers are all done in support of women candidates. Reclaim. Reclaim is our big push to try to influence and actively support candidates that are strong proponents of our mission and to take back the rights of women to be whole, equal, and recognized for our substance, intelligence, and contribution. And I greatly admire and respect the men in this room who stand up for us as well. Thank you. Thank you. And now it's my privilege to introduce the elected officials who are with us today. I'm now going to call their names, and if you would, please stand or do some enormous wave or something when I call your name, and then we'll give you a round of applause at the end. So thank you for being here and for helping our students to understand, and the rest of us, what it's like to be an elected leader. So first, the women, ladies first. And actually, you don't have to be a lady, just a woman. Okay, so Mary Beth Bushy, San Rafael City Council. Great. Kate Collin, Mayor of San Rafael. Diana Conti, Trustee, College of Marin. Gina Daly, San Rafael School Board Member. Christine DeBerry, Southern Marin Fire District Board Member. Lee Delpan, Marin County Board of Education. Is it Lee? Sorry, Lee Delpan. Thank you so much for being here. Rachel Farrak, Novato City Council. Jean Friedel, Larkspur Park and Recreation Commission. Friedel, right? Yes. And Lori Fragoli, District Attorney for the County of Marin. Diane Gasson, Novato Unified School District. Jill Hoffman, Sausalito City Council. Linda Jackson, San Rafael School Board. Lucia Martel Dow, San Rafael School Board. Carolina Martin, San Rafael School Board. Katie Rice, Marin County Board of Supervisors, District 2. Mary Sackett, Marin County Supervisor, District 1. Shelley Scott, County Assessor. Catherine Way, Larkspur Town Council, former mayor. Susan Wernick, Mayor of Novato. Hey, great. And really a few good men, many good men. I'd like to introduce Steve Burdo, Mayor of San Anselmo. Great. Damon Connolly, Assembly Member for California 12th District. With Anna Tamayo, Field Representative, and Melissa Apuya, District Director. You there? Great. Okay. Scott Candell, Larkspur City Council. Eric Lucan, Marin County Board of Supervisors. Thank you, Eric. Greg Nell is an honored guest, County Board of Education. Greg. Great. And Matt Sampson, newly elected to the Marin Municipal Water District. Matt, where are you? Great. Okay. Thank you so much to all the elected officials. Okay, now before we go on, and of course, Ashley Ravichet, Southern Marin Fire, yay, Board of Directors. Yes. Oh, thank you. I'll have to check with okay. Pat Ravazio, Town of Corte Madera. I'm so sorry we missed. Good. And Pam on the Ross Valley Sanitary District. There we go, Pam Meigs. Wow, love it. We've got so many good people. Okay. All right, before we go on, I also want to introduce the people who have revved up this organization. At this time, I want to recognize the fabulous members of our board of directors here at Marin Women's PAC. So they've energetically served and are responsible for the momentum and revitalization of this organization. So when I call your name, please stand. Vice President Laurel Druk. There she is. Okay. Secretary Susanna Mrazek. There you are. Treasurer Tammy Hull. Historian Gina Brewer. Gina, where are you? Okay. Communications Committee co-chairs Susanna Mrazek and Julia Reinhardt. Yeah, Julia. Okay. Events Committee co-chairs Barbara Matass and Christina Waldeck. Membership Committee co-chair Catherine Way. There you are. Okay. Endorsement Committee co-chairs Michelle Barney and Laurel Druk. Local Elections and Appointments Chair Greg Brockbank. And last year's Nominations Committee Chair Vicki Nichols. Where are you, Vicki? Good. Okay. They stepped up. We had a great year. Let's give them a big thank you all together. This is what it's all about. Student leadership. Asking young women and younger women to step up, and the ones that we have invited here today who are already involved in their school, in student body, or in very special positions, showing that they're going to wind up leading our community in either as elected officials or behind the scene as appointed officials or whatever. So it's my honor to present to you a special guest today from, okay, just a moment. Well, anyway, before we get to our distinguished speakers, it's time to honor our students and future leaders, and I'd like to call upon Roberta Gonzalez from the KTVU and Roberta Gonzalez Productions to come up, and she'll read the names of the students, and when we read your name, please tell us what school you're with and how you're involved at school. Okay, thank you so much. Roberta.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dad. Hello, everybody. It's a true pleasure to be here with so many distinguished women and men here in San Rafael. I used to actually live a few blocks down the street when I first moved here in 1996 from Chicago. Absolutely loved it. It's so peaceful, and I love the community here as well. It is currently 60 degrees. Okay, maybe I lied. It may be 58 because of the wind. There's a slight breeze out there, but we will be dry through the weekend with another area of low pressure. We actually have this system over Kona right now in Hawaii. Wants to tap into that atmospheric river, and if it does so, we have a cold front coming out of the Gulf of Alaska, and if the two of them collide by Monday night into Tuesday especially, we'll have to watch for another potential wind event, but certainly some more rain returning right here to the Bay Area. But what I've been noticing is we're starting to see a little bit more of a gap in between these systems, so we may be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Governor Newsom today did announce that we are not officially, as an entire state, out of the drought, although many of our counties here in the Bay Area are, but he's going to actually leave it up to each and every county to mandate conservation practices. So hopefully we all know by now it's extremely important after 3 dire, desperate years of drought to conserve and practice these policies very much responsibly, right? So we'll all do that together. I need more water, please. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That was just a joke. As a joke. Maybe it's too early in the day here. I don't know. Anyway, I'm so excited to be here today. I am a meteorologist with KTVU Television. Thank you. Thank you. I've been with them for a year and a half now, and I have to tell you, I've been forecasting weather now since 1981. I was very young, and I actually had to lie about my age for them to accept me for an interview in San Diego. I had to tell them I was actually at the time barely 21 years old, but you had to be at least 23 for the job. So I had to fabricate a little bit, but I went to church and asked God to forgive me. It was for the good of all. It's been a wonderful but also trying experience. In 1981, when I received my first on-air television job as a weathercaster, I had a journalist. I was a journalism major at San Diego State, so I wanted to be a reporter who spread all the news to the people all the time. And then one day, the weathercaster, right before the 5 p.m. newscast, Captain Mike Ambrose, he had a massive heart attack. And so they needed somebody to do the weather. And I volunteered, pick me, pick me. So I somehow got by, went back to college, studied meteorology, and I've been forecasting weather ever since. It's very important to me. I love meteorology. I love forecasting weather. And the only other person back in 1981 that had ever forecasted weather in the state of California, and pretty much the entire country at that time, was Raquel Welch. And she had been Miss San Diego. And so there was nobody for me to emulate. There was never another woman for me to look up to and try to emulate her experience and her passion and profession. So I had to trail my own, blaze my own trail basically. And it was very difficult. I had a general manager at that time who I went in to see into his office because he called me in his office. I'm thinking, what am I doing wrong? And he said, I think you could have a career. This is when I started off in San Diego. And he said, but the first thing you need to do is change your last name because it makes you sound too ethnic. Gonzalez. Then he said, remove the mole because it makes you look too ethnic. If you remove your mole, people will think you're Italian or Greek or something else. And again, this is 1981. And then he said, always, always wear a tight sweater on TV. So to this day, you've never seen me wear a sweater on TV. Ever, ever. It's been, as I say, a wonderful but trying excursion into meteorology. I worked at KPIX for 23 years, and it was the writing on the wall. There wasn't a week that went by that they didn't tell me I was aging out, and I got my salary reduced severely. And so I said to them, well, since I'm aging out, I want to plan for my future. I want to do what I've always wanted to do. I want to have my own production company, my own. And they said, not on our dime, you're not, And I said, no, on the weekends, I could start building toward this. I want to go to business school. I want to learn what I can to have my own company. No, we don't want you to do that. You cannot. We find that a competition clause. You can't compete with our competition clause. So I left KPIX. KTVU called, I started my business, Roberta Gonzalez Productions. Started up in 2000. I left KPIX in September 2017. I started my production company 2 weeks later, October 4th. And we're thriving. We're located in Pleasanton. We do commercial spots for Oakland International Airport, also for Visit Mendocino County, for the Bay Area Panthers, and a lot of independent people like Christy Yamaguchi. She does Reading is Cool programs, so we do her industrial videos for school. So if you're ever looking for somebody for production, your website or whatever, we're doing that. But meanwhile, KTVU called me up and they said, hey, would you be willing to work for us part-time? And I said, but I have a company. And they said, you be you. And I love these people. They don't find any competition, as far as my company is concerned. If they have any questions, they come to me. And I'm like, why didn't I do this a long time ago? Work for people who think independently, and they really do embrace all people, all genders, all ethnicities, and of all age. If you look at KTVU, you see the most experienced reporters out in the field. I respect my colleagues, men and women, and this is what I'm hoping all of us can aspire to do as well. As you're in college and look forward to your new path, just remember, the people you surround yourself is extremely important as well. You want to be proud of your colleagues as you want to earn their respect as well. And here today, we are so impressed, and I am so happy to be a part of this luncheon today as MWPAC wants to honor some of the students here today, not some of them, I think pretty much all of you that are here today. And I want to apologize in advance if I butcher any names, and you can correct me, okay? I haven't had a chance to meet you and ask you the correct pronunciation, but I'm going to do my best. And please remember, when you stand up, when your name is read, introduce yourself, say where you're from, and remember at the very end, we're going to have a group photo after the program. There's also, I've been told, some proclamations for you to pick up at the back of the room. So we'll make sure you receive those as well. First off, we want to recognize from Dominican University, Shayla Kim, Co-President, Dominican Political Science Student Association. Are you here? There you are. Can you?
Hi, so my name is Sylvie. I'm a freshman at Dominican, and I'm the co-president of the DPSA club. And I'm from San Rafael. Well, I'm from Guatemala. I moved here from almost 4 years ago, and I went to San Rafael High School. And I wanted to stay local because I love Marin and I love San Rafael, so now I'm attending Dominican, and I'm a political science and history major.
And I know it's so difficult, and I wish I could run over there with a microphone, and maybe I'll try to do that. You may have to do a 360 because we have other people back here too that just want to meet you and see you. If you can just wave to them, stand up and wave to them over here because I don't think they got to see you all. Oh, I can't detach these, unfortunately, but speak proudly and loudly. You are here. Sheila Alvarez, Social Media Outreach, Dominican Political Science Student Association. Hi.
My name is Sheila Alvarez, and I'm a second year at Dominican. I'm teacher for DPSA, and I'm also studying political science and psychology. I'm actually originally from Sonoma County, and I moved to Marin for university. And it's been a really great experience. I've loved my time at Dominican, and I've fallen in love with Marin. I really don't think I'll be going back to Sonoma. We'll see. And I've really enjoyed my time just being part of the learning community. I'm also a student ambassador at Dominican University, which has been a great experience with connecting with prospective students and connecting with the wider community as well.
Hey, Sheila, I have a quick question for you. My mother was one of 6 children. My father was one of 6 children, but I was the first generation to ever attend college. How has your experience been within your family?
So I'm actually a first generation student. I'm also the oldest in my family. So it's been tough at times because a lot of times we don't have guidance coming from our own family since we've been in college. But I think that's one of the reasons I love the Dominican so much is because I've had so much support from not only people I work with, but like my advisors, different professors I've had throughout my time there.
Boy, some things don't change because way back when I attended San Diego State University, it was the same thing within my family. They didn't have that collegiate experience to give me any advice, so I depended on the equal opportunity program, and that helped me incredibly. So thank you. Congratulations. Joanna James, Secretary, Dominican Political Science Student Association. Remember to turn.
Hello, everybody. I'm from University I'm actually my junior year at Dominican. I've been living in the Bay Area for a very long time, so I'm a first generation student.
All right, Amber Bell, Events Coordinator, Dominican Political Science Student Association. And remember, do the full circle so everybody can hear you. Oh, not here? Okay. Well, congratulations to her. All right, everybody. Okay, up next, we do have San Marin High School, Jada Reilly. I hope that's correct. Staff Relations Coordinator.
So my name's Jada Reilly, and I'm from San Marin High School. I'm the staff relationship coordinator, so I just basically coordinate with our staff, whether it's teachers, front office. I'm just there if they need anything. We have teacher buddies, so every student in our class has 3 or 4 teacher and staff buddies, and every month they get a gift. And I also like to plan like special lunches for them that leadership puts on.
Evelyn Negrete, English Language Development Newcomer Coordinator.
Hi, my name is Evelyn Negrete. I am the English Language Development Newcomer Coordinator. So basically what I do, I reach out to all of our ELD students and newcomers that come to our school, and we just plan lunches and just get to know them so they have a friend on campus, because it's very scary coming in and not being able to speak English. But yeah, that's
Brittany Casper, Junior Class President. Okay, thank you. Shelby Atkinson, Junior Class Vice President.
Unfortunately, our president couldn't be here, so I'm here in place of her, but I'm Shelby Atkinson, and I am the junior class vice president, so I work side by side with my president, of course, and we just want to build a better community for San Marin, especially with our junior class, raising funds as well as just bringing our junior class together.
Beautiful. And from the College of Marin, we have Emma Neal, President, Associated Students of College of Marin.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Emily. I'm president of the Associated Students of College of Marin. I'm a second year. I'm a communications major, and I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having me. College of Marin is the number one community college in California, so all the high schoolers here are really consider it. Thank you.
Sadie Reyes, Senator of Activities and Services, Associated Students of College of Marin.
I'm one of the Center of Activities and Services. I'm in my second year of College of Marin, and I'm an architecture major, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Temescal High School, Sienna Lopez, Student Representative to the Board of Trustees.
I'm Sienna. I'm from Temescal. I'm also part of the Pathways program there. And yeah, I'm a student trustee on the Tang District Board.
Beautiful. Temescal High School, Sienna Lopez, Student Representative of the Board of Trustees. Oh, did I just do you? That was you. You got double exposure here and credit. Sorry about that. Lily Hollenstein, co-leader of STAR program.
Hi, I'm Lily Hollenstein, and I'm the co-president of the STAR program at Temescal High School, and I'm also part of our student racial justice task force, so just working for racial equity throughout the High School District.
Beautiful, thank you. San Andreas High School, Grayson Olivia, Tamalpais Union High School District Student Trustee. Here today? No? Tamalpais High School, Anna Harrell, ASB President.
Hi, I'm the student body president at Tam High School. Basically, in that role, I get to work with leadership to just approach any issues that are facing our student body and just tackle them and think of ways we can work as a community to make Tam a better place in general. I'm also a link leader, so I work with the incoming freshmen to welcome them to Tam High School. And then I'm also rally co-commissioner, and all the school rallies and just foster that school spirit and stuff like that. Making the community active. Thank you guys.
And she doesn't sleep because she's so busy. Ella Clark, Rally Co-Chair and Activism Chair.
Hi. I'm Ella. I'm co-commissioner of Rally with Anna. I'm also Activism Commissioner, which is a committee that I created this year to help Cultural Clubs of Tam plan Heritage Month celebrations. And then I'm also a link leader, and I'm president of our Model United Nations Club and president of our Junior State America Club. And then I'm also a student election ambassador with the Marin County Department of Elections, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters.
Wow, we have so many future leaders here in San Rafael this afternoon. Okay, Redwood High School, Gabrielle Roas, President, Model UN, and journalist, Bark Student Newspaper.
I'm a reporter at the Redwood High School Bar, and I'm also first year president of our school's Model UN. And I'm also a social media manager for a nonprofit that's student-run called Friendly, where we work on forming connections between neurotypical and neurodivergent students. Cool. I'm really excited to be here.
Callie Shuang, Student Editor-in-Chief, Bark Student Newspaper.
Hi, I'm Kelly Schwang. I'm one of the editors-in-chief of the Redwood Bark, which is our completely student-run newspaper. It's one of the, I think, the only entirely student newspaper in the district. I'm also part of our Tam Union District's racial justice task force, so I'm on that with as well. And I'm also president and founder of the Sidewalk Plus Club at Redwood, which is one of our first community spaces for women of color in our town.
Thank you so much. I am so impressed. Chloe Bishop, student editor-in-chief, Bark Student Newspaper.
Hi everyone, I'm Chloe Bishop. I am also one of the editors-in-chief of the Redwood Bark, our award-winning student-led newspaper. I'm also one of the captains of our mock trial team. I am our associated student body secretary, and I am the president of a club on campus called the Mojo Project, where we connect with students in Haiti through WhatsApp and Zoom to raise money for their college funds. And last year we did a variety of projects to assemble a yearbook for them to market them to donors for their school that was founded after the earthquake in Haiti years ago.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Archie Williams High School, we have Sosha Bell, Star Leadership.
My name is Shosha Bell. I go to Archie Williams. I am part of STAR Leadership, which is Students Taking Action for Anti-Racism. I am also an intern at ACWW, which is Associated Country Women of the World, an NGO that works with the policymakers at the UN to help with policies. I am also the president and founder of an Interact Club for Global Interaction, which is part of Rotary. If you've ever heard of Rotary.
Thank you so much. I do a lot with Rotary. Terra Linda High School, we have Tess Waddy here, student body representative.
Hi, my name is Tess Waddy. I am the student representative on the San Rafael City High School Board. So there I sit and provide a student voice and representation for Carolinda High School and weigh in on matters that is presented to the board, everything from budget to student leadership to events that are being planned, even going into teacher and student activities and participation in the school district. I am also part of things like choosing superintendents and listening to all the things our board of trustees are doing to communicate them back to the students.
Sarah Mondesser, SLAM, which is Student Leadership Anti-Racism Movement, and EOS, Equal Opportunity Schools representative.
Hello, my name is Sarah Mondesir, and I'm a senior at Carolinda High School. I am the Teachers and Student Coordinator for Students, Leaders, Anti-Racism Movement. And I also was a student representative for Equal Opportunity Schools, and we helped increase students enrollment, students of color enrollment into AP classes by 12%. So that's what I'm
Just a shout out to our table sponsors, Rachel Kurtz, Tamara Hall, Kevin Carroll. Individual sponsors are Kate Cullen, Carol Mills, Laurel Druk, Greg Brockbank, Christina Waldeck, Stephen Keese, Wendon, I hope I said that correctly, Trenor, Diana Conti, Shally Kramer, and Sherry Wagenheim. Thank you all so much. And ladies, did I miss somebody? Okay, and ladies, I just want to say I'm so proud and privileged to be in all of your presence. You're going to change the world. Thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Let me thank you again, Roberta. That was wonderful, and hearing each of you students, what you're into, I feel like a slacker. My goodness, you are so amazing, and I hope, we can support your activities in the future and that you'll continue to come to us. That is amazing. Okay, on we go. Now it's time for our keynote speaker. So I would like to introduce to you Nicola Pitchford. Everyone, Nicola Pitchford is president of Dominican University. Born in the United Kingdom, Professor Pitchford earned her master's degree and doctorate from the University of Wisconsin in English, with an emphasis on modern and contemporary U.S. and British literature. She is also an award-winning nature writer. Before becoming president of Dominican, she served as vice president for academic affairs and was a school dean. Dr. Pritchard has publicly prioritized advancing racial justice, economic equity, and sustainability, around which she has shaped her presidential objectives. She's committed also to cultivating a joyful culture, enfranchising employees, flattening hierarchies, and supporting faculty and staff in finding community and fulfillment in the workplace. May I present to you Dr. Nicola Pritchard.
Thank you so much. Don't want to make a mess of this. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here in the company of people committed to change and to equity. There is no more important work. And I'm very grateful for being invited. Thank you. I want to start my story in 1955, which I hasten to say is long before I was born. But in 1955, my mother, Anne, whom we lost just in the last month or so, was the only woman student in a group of 250 engineering students at Cambridge University in the United Kingdom. She had an incredible college experience there, university experience, and went on to work in aerospace and aircraft design, working on the Concorde supersonic jet and the Harrier vertical takeoff jet, and frequently to discover that she was earning significantly less than her male subordinates. And she was fired when she became pregnant with her first child. And it's partly, of course, because of her that I'm here. I would also say, however, there were virtually no people of color in that class of 250. And she, as one of the first women, felt that she had to go really overboard in proving that she might be a tomboy, but she was not gay. And so the kinds of discrimination, even that she managed to break through, were deeper and more profound for others. And that's a lesson that helped me get started on my way. For me, as a scholar of gender studies and literature, and particularly focusing on literature by writers who've previously been marginalized, I was drawn to Dominican University of California because it has an explicit commitment, and these kinds of commitments have to be explicit. You can't just assume that equity will happen. An explicit commitment to delivering the kind of elite college experience that in some ways my mother was able to access, and then I was able to access as an undergraduate at Pomona College in Southern California. That college experience that was designed for people who did not look like us, and even more so, do not look like many of us in this room, making sure that it was accessible to all, to people of all races, all genders, all abilities, and neurotypes. And for me, it was so exciting to be able to have an opportunity to be part of the leadership at an institution committed to that kind of equity. And let me just pause for a moment. I know there's at least one Dominican graduate in the room, and I know that we have Dominican students in the room and student leaders. Who else has studied at Dominican? Terrific, and thank you. And I would also say, especially to those of you who are thinking about going to college or going back to college, that my colleague Emma, who is in our admissions department, is here and would love to speak to you and share information about Dominican with you. Okay, that's the pitch. So today, we are here gathered together in the most racially unequal county in California, in one of the most economically unequal counties in California. And there's one four-year university in this county that is committed to generating change that will help transform our community. One of the messages I always am eager to deliver about Dominican is that we have never been an ivory tower. We have always, with the Sisters' original design from 1890 onward, always been committed to creating knowledge in the context of community and in the context of serving others, and not merely enriching ourselves. Today in Marin County, Dominican has a population that looks like the larger state of California, less like Marin, more like the larger state of California. So 70% of our undergraduates are students of color or BIPOC students. 30% meet the federal threshold for Pell Grant eligibility, which generally means low income. And a beautiful 13% of our students are the first in their family to go to college, or of the first generation to go to college. We call our commitment to equity the Dominican experience. It's an educational model that we guarantee to our students that is built around those learning and mentoring experiences that all of the contemporary research show have the most impact on leading to student retention and student success. Over 7 years, we've improved our four-year graduation rate by nearly 30%, which means we surpass by a wide margin the national average completion rates, as well as those for virtually every Cal State institution in California. At the same time as we have increased the diversity of our community. So part of our message is not only can you have success by traditional measures and diversity, but at this point in this country, you cannot have success if you do not foster diversity deliberately. We've also been ranked among some of the most prestigious universities in the country for social mobility, for supporting those students who come from families in the lowest economic quintile to enter, over the course of their careers, the highest economic quintile. And last year, we finally earned federal MSI designation, which means we are a federally designated minority-serving institution. Yeah, it's really an exciting achievement for us. And with that, we gained access to a $3 million grant to better support our students of color in coming to Dominican, staying at Dominican, and moving successfully into their lives beyond Dominican. The MSI grant helps us deepen long-term relationships with key community partners, such as Canal Alliance, who really are our co-educators in many cases with our students. So the reason I'm doing all the bragging and sharing all the success that Dominican has had of late in meeting these goals is that access to equity and a quality education is one of the key social justice issues in this country. It is a women's issue, and it is an issue for people of all genders. But colleges and universities, particularly private colleges and universities, have a PR problem in the current national narrative. Too often, higher education is represented as a self-interested undertaking. That is to say, it's a kind of luxury that if your family can't afford, that you should have to contort yourself to access and have to prove that you are going to immediately earn more money for others if you have a higher education. And that is an important role for so many of us, especially immigrants, children of immigrants, students from underrepresented populations. To be able to move up economically in this country is a crucial individual goal. But I also want to emphasize the social and cultural and political work, the work of transformation that's taking place in higher education, and is another reason why its value endures. We know that higher education is still, banking crises or no, one of the safest investments any family can make or any individual can make in terms of purely financial return on investment over a lifetime. But is also such a crucial social investment, particularly if we wish for change. which I think probably all of us in this room wish for change, for ongoing and continued change. And it's an honor to be part of that change work. Our graduates, like one of the esteemed members of this organization, Moda de Nieva Marsh, are activists, champions of social justice. And I would like to cite another of our graduates, Mary Jane Burke, whom some of you may have heard of or know. Mary Jane is an extraordinary individual who has recently stepped aside after 30 years, 7 consecutive terms as Marin County's superintendent of public education and a proud product of Dominican education. More than half of our alumni who earned degrees in the last 20 years are living, working, and voting in Marin and surrounding counties. Dominican is Marin's university. Our graduates are providing our health care. In fact, I've run into one in the ER who was much more cheerful than I was about meeting one another in that context. They teach, they represent, they own businesses, and they are local activists. We share, therefore, the priorities and values of the Marin Women's Political Action Committee. We share the commitment of everybody in this room to advancing social justice and representation for women, and those, I would add, who are non-binary or identify as women. We share also the commitment to critical thinking, to questioning the status quo. And finally, with my thanks again for inviting me and letting me tell a little more of the kind of capacity that Dominican has to be part of change in Marin, in the Bay Area, in California, in the United States. I want to say again, thank you all, particularly to those of you who are the youngest among us, for being already committed to working hard, taking on multiple roles. So many of you said, well, I'm in this leadership role, and I'm also in this leadership role, and I'm in this one. And I think we know what that takes, and thank you for being committed to your peers and to the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Pitchford. Let's give her another round of applause. Thank you very much. Now, I realize that we're going a little long, and I'm sorry, I apologize to you, but I think it's worth it. So I'm going to jump right into, first of all, Christina reminded me that we're still selling raffle tickets to bring us right down to, yes. So our next, oh yeah, there she is. Okay, it's a real deal. Anyway, thank you so much, Dr. Pitchford. So next, it's time to introduce our keynote speaker. When the Supreme Court reversed its decision on Roe v. Wade, it was a gut punch to those of us who were in the original struggle in the 60s. It was so painful for me to acknowledge that my granddaughters have fewer rights than I did then. And our next speaker, our keynote speaker, Shannon Hovis, is the director of NARAL, Pro-Choice California. NARAL stands for National Abortion Rights League, or in my day, it was the National Association for the Repeal of Abortion Laws. Shannon is a policy expert, political strategist, and passionate LGBTQ leader with more than 15 years of experience as a change maker in California state, local politics, state and local politics, electoral campaigns, the classroom, and mission-driven advocacy. Under her leadership, she helped establish the California Future of Abortion Council, enacted dozens of pivotal reproductive freedom bills, and grew the statewide NARAL membership by more than 60%. She previously worked as in the civil rights section of the California Department of Justice and in the executive offices of the then Attorney General Kamala Harris, Assembly Member Raul Bocanegra, and Sacramento Mayor Kevin Johnson. It's now my pleasure to introduce you to Shannon Hovis.
Let me see if I can get this to, yeah, that seems a bit better. Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Shannon Olivieri Hovis. I'm the director of NARAL Pro Choice California. And it's interesting, NARAL actually no longer is an acronym. We really just pay homage with NARAL, but it did originally stand for the repeal of abortion laws because, of course, abortion laws were criminalizing abortion. And then it stood for the National Abortion Rights Action League. I stand here 7 months pregnant. And I can't sit that long because I'm so uncomfortable these days. So I was like, I'm just gonna have to stand up for a second. I want to, I guess, make sure that this is somewhat conversational. I imagine that many of you have a lot of questions about what's going on in the national landscape and in California as it relates to abortion and reproductive freedom. So I will try to be relatively brief in my initial remarks and then give an opportunity to have some Q&A. I also stand here as a product of Mill Valley's public school system. I went to Old Mill and Mill Valley Middle and Tam High, so shout out to all the Tam High folks. I was Tam High 2003. Woo! So 20 years ago, that is hilarious. But honestly, I mean, I actually really loved just getting to sit here and listen to the incredible accomplishments of our young folks because I was not that accomplished when I was like 15, 16, 17 years old. I feel like many of us in the room would probably share that sentiment. I do come to the work of reproductive freedom originally as a peer health educator through the Marin AIDS Project, what was the Marin AIDS Project. And so as part of my work at TAM, I was able to go around and do sexual and reproductive health presentations across all of the middle schools and high schools in Marin, which was a real amazing and eye-opening experience. And if you'd asked me 20 years ago when I was graduating from TAM if I ever thought that Roe v. Wade would be overturned, I would have absolutely said, of course not. Because for those of us in my generation, and certainly the generations below us, younger than us, this was just the reality of our lives. Of course we have reproductive freedom. Of course we have the ability to make personal decisions about our own reproductive lives and futures, and anything that would go contrary to that was absolutely, it just was infeasible. You couldn't even contemplate what that looked like. And I think that that's at the end of the day actually what gives me hope here. So I'm gonna rewind and talk a little bit about the landscape and what we're doing in California, and I see our Assembly member Damon Connolly over here as well, who will be working with us on a lot of these issues this year and in the years to come. But I want to first acknowledge, you know, public opinion on this issue is overwhelmingly on our side. And that is, I think, what is most important for folks to remember going into this. 8 in 10 Americans support the legal right to abortion. 8 in 10 Americans did not want to see Roe v. Wade overturned. What we are seeing right now is a very, very small, very vocal, and very well-funded minority who have been at this for decades to undo Roe v. Wade. And they got the crown jewel because Donald Trump was in the White House and he was able to give them a 6-3 anti-choice majority on the Supreme Court. We would not be in the position that we are in this country if not for that. And of course, anti-choice legislators across the country have been baiting the Supreme Court for years. And they have been taking steps for decades to chip away at access to abortion and reproductive health care in general in hostile states across the country. This has been a state-by-state issue even before Roe was overturned. We need to recognize that even before Roe fell, there were a handful of states where there was only one standing abortion clinic in the entire state. That is not meaningful access. We all know that. And so a right without access is meaningless to so many of us. We have to acknowledge that Roe, in many ways, was the floor. And when we talk about that, that means it was baseline. It was a baseline protection. It actually was never enough to ensure meaningful access to care. And so we are at a new starting point where we do have to take this state by state, ban by ban, and then we hope to eventually have Congress back and the presidency so we can pass a nationwide protection. But we must acknowledge that access has never been a reality for many, many, many people in this country, meaningful access. So after Roe was overturned in June of last year, as we knew, states started racing to ban abortion, and many already had pre-Roe abortion bans in effect in their laws that automatically went back into effect, or they had trigger bans on their books that said if Roe falls, abortion will be illegal here in this state. And this is playing out in the courts all over the place. We currently have 17 states across the country where abortion bans are being enforced, total bans or very, very extreme bans. And there are a handful of other states that are trying to ban abortion, but their laws have been blocked in the courts. And just recently, you may have seen this week that a Wyoming judge struck down temporarily their abortion ban, so abortion is now legal in Wyoming. Does that actually mean you can get care? Maybe not, because a lot of clinics have stopped providing care. And just in the 100 days after Roe v. Wade fell, 66 clinics, abortion clinics across the country, shuttered and stopped providing care, abortion care specifically. Right? About a third of women of reproductive age live in states where they cannot access abortion. So I don't want to mince words about how dire this is. And standing here 7 months pregnant, I am thinking frequently about the terror that I would feel, the true terror I would feel if I lived in a state that had a ban on abortion. Because of course, bans on abortion create dangerous, extraordinarily dangerous circumstances for pregnant people, period. You hear day in and day out right now about people who have emergency situations where they cannot get miscarriage management, whatever kind of care that they need, people who have wanted pregnancies and unviable fetuses and can't get the abortion care that they need unless they are septic and literally dying. And just recently, 5 women in Texas are suing the state of Texas for their abortion ban because they ended up with non-viable fetuses, could not get the care that they needed, and many of them nearly died. So these are the very real consequences of the country and the landscape that we are living in. Now, NARAL and our partners, we really saw the writing on the wall for what was going to happen with the Supreme Court long ago. I mean, we've been sounding the alarm on this for years. And it was as soon as the Supreme Court decided to take up Mississippi's 15-week abortion ban in the first place, that was, red flag number 10, but should have signaled to all of us that the Supreme Court was poised to overturn Roe. And that's because any pre-viability abortion ban was on its face unconstitutional, had never been considered by the Supreme Court before because it was obviously unconstitutional. So they decided to take up a 15-week abortion ban that is far, far, far before viability. And we knew that this was essentially what was the course for the country. Well then, in September of 2021, you may remember that they allowed Texas's 6-week vigilante-enforced abortion ban to go into effect, undoing Roe in the state of Texas 9 months before they actually overturned Roe v. Wade. Well, as soon as they let Texas's law go into effect, we were done here. We said, all right, in California, we need to get prepared. This is coming. We need to get prepared right away. And we created the California Future of Abortion Council. And that council, it is comprised of policymakers and advocates, researchers, providers, abortion patients, very comprehensive group of folks. And we really got to work to interrogate our own access systems and structures in California. What do we need to improve about our laws? What do we need to improve about our provider network? How do we address some of the persistent barriers that exist to care even in California? Because people think, well, California's fine, we're doing fine here. But the reality is California plays a lot of very important roles, and our role in the fight for reproductive freedom has truly never been more important than precisely in this moment. I'll give you a few figures that will help solidify this point. Even before Roe v. Wade was overturned, 1 in 4 healthcare facilities that provided abortion care in the entire country were based in California. 25%. So you can imagine now that 17 states are enforcing bans on abortion, and many clinics have been forced to stop providing abortion care across the country or shuttered altogether. That proportion is going up exponentially, right? And people, of course, look to California to lead, as we do on so many different issues. And so the other figures that may surprise you, 40% of California counties do not have an abortion provider. And we actually have 9 counties in California that don't have a single OBGYN. We have shocking access deserts in the state. Now, we don't feel that in the Bay Area because we live in one of these places that is very rich with healthcare access. But that is not the reality for many people across the state. So last year, we introduced this large legislative package, including ultimately Senate Constitutional Amendment 10, which qualified for the ballot as Proposition 1. And so we were doing this whole package of things to ensure we did the strongest protections for abortion and reproductive freedom in the state possible, which is making sure it's actually in our state constitution, right? That was critical, passing that last November, and we overwhelmingly did. 67% of Californians who voted supported Proposition 1. But also ensuring that we were addressing some of our access desert issues, making sure that we have better pipelines for people who are qualified clinicians to provide abortion care. In California, nurse midwives and nurse practitioners, physician's assistants can all legally provide first trimester abortion care, but a lot of times we don't have the necessary pipelines, we don't have the necessary scholarship programs or clinical opportunities to ensure they can actually do that. We did a lot to start to change that last time around. Like I said, many of our counties don't have an OBGYN, but they probably have an NP, right? So how do we continue to open up some of these pathways? Really looking at our legal system. What are the legal protections we need to provide to our providers who are providing care to folks here, folks who are coming from out of state? How do we ensure that our providers are protected, their licenses are protected? How do we protect the patients who are coming here and ensure that California law enforcement and other agencies are not cooperating with out-of-state law enforcement, et cetera, that are trying to enforce their hostile bans on abortion in our state of California, right? So we really looked at all of these different things, and last year we passed an incredibly comprehensive package, a historic legislative package, the biggest in the country, and certainly the most potent in the country as it relates to protecting and expanding abortion access in particular. But it's not over. So this fall, the Future of Abortion Council reconvened to again look at what have we missed? What are the evolving issues that we didn't identify yet? Because some of this landscape are things that you wouldn't even think that you have to contemplate. But one of the bills that we're sponsoring this year ensures that private bounty hunters can't reach into California and try to arrest somebody here who is seeking refuge here after they've accessed abortion care or gender-affirming care, because gender-affirming care is what's happening with us. There was abortion last year. It's been abortion for several years. This year, we anticipate 15 states will take steps and likely end up with bans on gender-affirming care in their states. So we are literally contemplating all of these kinds of scenarios that we have to contemplate in order to ensure that people have true protections here in California. Just last week, we announced with the Legislative Women's Caucus a package of 17 bills this year that the Future of Abortion Council is backing. And it really, the biggest themes of it are protections for our providers, protections for patients, legal protections, and then also privacy protections. Really making sure that the data that people have out there, that that period tracking apps, that geolocation data. I mean, all of these kinds of things that can be used to try to pinpoint somebody, oh, you were at that abortion clinic, you must have gotten care there. Even, frankly, electronic health records, we have to be mindful of that kind of thing because we do a lot of sharing across states, some of which is really important for public health, like STD and STI data. Well, if somebody from Texas is getting STD and STI testing here in California, and they're suspected of getting an abortion, then there's suddenly some track there that law enforcement in Texas is going, well, why are they getting, if they're there for STI testing in California, clearly they were there for their abortion too. How do we track that back? No, we need to protect against that here. So these are all of the really scary situations that we are contemplating. But to go back to why I feel some measure of hope, and I do feel like this wave of backlash, right? Every era of progress is followed by a wave of backlash. Well, Barack Obama was a big era of progress in many ways for this country, and we are living through a very real and deeply consequential, I don't want to understate that, deeply consequential era of backlash. But nonetheless, the needle is still going to continue. I feel really confident in this. It is going to swing back in the right direction. Just a couple weeks ago, Governor Newsom announced a reproductive freedom governors alliance with 20 other governors across the country who are committed to protecting and expanding access to abortion and reproductive freedom. And what we saw in the election was that people, again, overwhelmingly support abortion access and reproductive freedom. And when I say reproductive freedom, you'll notice I haven't used the term pro-choice, I don't think probably once other than in the name of our organization. And that's actually because pro-choice and talking about it in that frame is not the most effective frame that we can use. Many people identify themselves as pro-life. They don't know if they would choose abortion for themselves, but they support reproductive freedom because they do not believe that anyone but that person with their faith, their family, their loved ones should be making these deeply intimate and personal decisions about our reproductive lives and futures. And so that frame is really quite important. And what we saw was that that frame was incredibly effective last year. So there were 6 states in which abortion was specifically on the ballot in November. Well, 5 in November, and then 1 earlier in the year in Kansas. And in all 6 of those states, so 3 of them were protective, like California, Vermont, and Michigan, to enshrine a constitutional right to abortion and reproductive freedom in the state constitution. And 3 of them were restrictive and tried to say there is no constitutional protection for abortion in this state, or et cetera, et cetera. And that was in Montana and Kentucky and Kansas. And Kansas got a lot of attention because it was the first test, right? And in Kansas, even in what people consider to be deeply red Kansas, what we saw was that people overwhelmingly rejected that ballot initiative. There is not a single state in the country where bans on abortion are popular. And so I talk about this in a hopeful fashion, in large part because of what we're seeing with people. And there are some states where we saw this play out in absolutely critical ways, where abortion was not specifically on the ballot, like Arizona. But the leadership there changed the ballgame. And Arizona really matters for California, not surprisingly. Many of the out-of-state patients we see are coming from Arizona, many from Texas as well. But Arizona, obviously bordering with us. Many come over down into San Diego and Imperial counties, LA. Arizona has a 15-week abortion ban. But their Republican Attorney General, who thankfully we just booted out of office, he's been trying to resurrect a total ban on abortion from the 1800s that was literally, I mean, it existed before Arizona was a state. It's not, this is like, it's ridiculous. But he's been trying to fight for that in the courts and had some success. He was able to get it back instated at one point. Well, fortunately, we won that election in Nevada, and my counterpart who works for NARAL Nevada, in Arizona, she's the Southwest director, so she does both Nevada and Arizona. But we had this incredible success in Arizona because we were able to unseat that guy, and Chris Mays is now the new Attorney General, Democratic Attorney General in Arizona. And we were able to get a firewall up with Katie Hobbs as the newly elected governor in Arizona. So even though they still have an anti-choice legislature, they now have this leadership that is going to prevent that legislator from doing further damage. So yes, they'll have a 15-week ban in effect, but at least for the moment, that is all that will happen there, and they're able to access care up until that point at least. So we see this play out in every state, and that's what we have to do, is go state by state, ban by ban, election by election, and get these people who are passing horrific things, we have to get them out of office. And we need to elect reproductive freedom champions up and down the ballot. And that's a lot of the work that we're doing at NARAL, and it's a lot of the work we're really, really proud of. So I'm going to stop, and I just want to see if I can field any questions. You don't have time? Okay, well then, thank you. I'll stick around if you want to ask me questions.
I'm so sorry that we don't have time. I'm so short. Okay, and that was wonderful. Thank you, Shannon, so much. What a reality check. Okay, and we know what we have to do. So now I would like to call up to the dais Gina Brewer, who has a special presentation for somebody who is really special to us. Gina? Gina? Oh, yes, you're good. Yes. And Christina Waldeck, the two together. Thank you so much. Okay.
We recently lost Dora Nell, who was around when I started participating in the Marin chapter of National Women's Political Caucus, our predecessor organization. We were in our 20s and loaded for bear because things were black and white. There were hardly any women in political office. She was in her 40s. And we thought, who's this older woman with very strong opinions, told in colorful ways? But she was there, and she was fervent, and she continued on, and we've had her as part of our group, NWPAC, and she was beloved because she's just a sweetheart, but she was colorful. She was colorful. And so now we did just lose her recently, and so we've got a tribute to her, and we're presenting it to her family. So.
For inviting me. Thank you. Yes. We're making this presentation to Dora Nell's son, Greg, and granddaughter, Jamila. May I read it out loud? Okay. As you guys know, but maybe the audience doesn't, that your mother had 7 children. I'm one of 7, so I took special note. Mike, okay, I was saying I'm one of 7 children too, so I was especially excited to make this presentation, and I would like to read it to you. It's really very beautiful. By the way, this card is plantable, and you'll have flowers growing from this. And it comes as a living tribute for her commitment to equality and justice for women, the environment, and to her family and community. 7 trees will be planted in a California National Forest in memory of Dora Marie Nell, founding member of the National Women's Political Caucus, which was the organization from which our organization came. With deep respect, love, and gratitude, the Marin Women's Political Action Committee.
Thank you. Thanks very much. You know, this organization was very important to Mom, and she was with us to '98. She was very conscious, and we were lucky to have her for that many years. And what she was most concerned about at the end, having lived through World War II, my dad fought in the South Pacific, was the rise of National Socialism that we see today. I just read in the paper where all the art exhibits at Lewis and Clark Art Museum were removed because they were about women's reproductive freedom. And we have laws all across the country that really bothered her. We're controlling what books you can read, what AP class curriculum can contain, what library books you can have, what books you can read, what history can be taught, what money you can invest in. These are all laws that have been banned recently. What you can teach your employees, what training you can offer, and what you can say. And she was very concerned about the rise of National Socialism in America today, under the name of freedom, where all of these rights are being repressed, and women have been the bulwark that is preventing this from sweeping the country. So everybody, please continue your work. We've never faced a threat like this to women's rights and the freedom of all of us. And thank you very much for this award. It's very important.